Okay, so welcome back. Good morning, afternoon, good night. In any case, my name is Ricardo Montoya. I am your teacher for the English class at the SEA in the University of Guanajuato. And we're gonna continue speaking about modal verbs. In the last few episodes, in the last few videos, we were speaking about modal verbs. We know how they work or what they are. We were speaking mostly about modal verbs for obligation, for necessity, modal verbs for ability, capacity, possibility, permission, and future, right? And we were checking how we need to use some modal verbs to complement everything that we can say with them. Also, on the last video, we were speaking about modal verbs for deduction. I told you that it was important to make a distinction right here. Modal verbs for deduction, modal verbs for condition, and modal verbs for preference. Again, deduction, preference, and condition. These modal verbs, they are a little different, okay? The first modal verbs that we were checking, the ones for obligation, necessity, ability, capacity, permission, possibility, and future, they have semi-modal verbs and they work in a different way. These, the ones that we are checking now, this second block of modal verbs, they have different rules. On the last video, we were speaking about modal verbs for deduction, and I was telling you how, I was explaining to you how they have a different way in which they work, because they can be changed in past or in the present continuous using modal perfect or modal continuous. That is something that we didn't really have, that we couldn't really do with the other modal verbs, with obligation, modal verbs, and so on. Okay, so right now we're going to start with modal verbs for condition. Let's check what are they about. How do we use them? Okay, let me just check this part. If you haven't checked the last videos, I recommend you strongly to start with that. If you haven't checked modal verbs, if you haven't started from the beginning, this video is going to be a little bit complicated. We are pretty advanced in the class, in the program, and in order for you to understand everything up to this point, it is important that we follow like the same, well, you know, the same sequence. Okay, so we're going to be speaking about modal verbs for condition. First of all, what is a modal verb for condition? When do we need them? I mean, what is the meaning of a modal verb for condition? It says modal verb can also be used to express condition. Okay, so they express condition. In other words, they may express that an action needs a certain condition to happen, or that it depends, yeah, it depends on a condition. So this is the important part. We are speaking that there is an action that depends on a condition. So whenever you say something with a modal verb of condition, you are saying that the action of that sentence is dependent on something else. I mean, it's not a guarantee, it's not for sure that it's going to happen. What you're saying that is that there is a condition. For example, it says, to express condition in the present, we can use the following modal verbs. We can use the modal verb would. This is very common. This is also, we have the modal verb could. Again, you know that could has multiple uses, may has multiple uses, and might has multiple uses. They can be used as modal verb for deduction. They can be used as modal verbs for ability or capacity. They can be used as modal verbs for the future. And in this case, they can also be used as modal verbs for condition. So how do we use them? What does it mean? Again, as you remember, because this is something that we have been speaking about like pretty much every class, we need, if we want to make an affirmative statement, we need a subject, we need an auxiliary, we need a verb, and we need a complement. As you know, if you don't have an auxiliary, I mean, if you have a modal verb, you place it instead of the auxiliary. You know that modal verbs, they go in the second position on our sentence. We use them instead of auxiliaries. You cannot mix auxiliaries and modal verbs, okay? So that's impossible. We are going to use the modal verb instead of the auxiliary. So we don't have subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. We have subject, modal verb, verb, and complement. And we know that there are some implications there. If we want to make a negative statement, the modal verb takes the negative. If we want to make a question, the modal verb switches positions with the subject to make a question. We know that when you are using modal verbs, the verbs are always in the base form. So that means that you never conjugate the verb, okay? The verb is just the way it is. No S, no ED, no ING, no participle, nothing. It's just the verb as it is. Wouldn't be, wouldn't do, wouldn't lie, wouldn't try, wouldn't do, okay? So what do we have here? Let's check. So we have a modal verb, conditional modal verbs. Okay, so we have a subject. I have my subject, I. Then after my subject, I have my modal verb. In this case, this modal verb is taking the negative. I am saying a negative statement. This is a negative statement, okay? Then I have my verb, and as always with modal verbs, the verb is in the base form. You never conjugate it. And then finally, we have any extra information. In this case, the extra information is, well, a couple of objects, a direct object and an indirect object. They are the complement and they are always optional. They are extra information. In this case, when I say I wouldn't lend him my money, or I wouldn't lend him money, what I am saying is that, okay, the action right here, the action of this sentence is to lend. Do you know what is to lend? Maybe it is a difficult word for some of you. Lending is the opposite of borrowing. What is borrowing? Okay, let me just write this down. We have the verb to borrow, and we have the verb to lend. To borrow, you can say, can I borrow your pencil? Borrowing, it means when you take something that is not yours, and it's just you take it for a period of time and you have to give it back. I don't have a pencil. I need a pencil. I came to the class, I came to the exam, and I forgot to bring my pencil. And then I tell my classmate, hey, can I borrow your pencil? And they tell me, yeah, there you have it. Okay, thank you very much. And then I use the pencil, and when I finish using it, I have to give it back. Thank you very much for lending me your pencil. When you borrow is when you take something, okay? Borrowing is taking. If I don't have any money and I need money, I go to the bank and I ask if I can borrow money. Borrowing is when you take it. Es como tomar prestado o pedir prestado. Lending will be the opposite. Lending is the person that gives you something. If this is my pencil and you ask for it, I can decide, okay, you can use it. If I give you my pencil, I am lending you my pencil. You have the obligation of returning it, but the person giving is lending, and the person taking is borrowing. So in this case, the verb is lending. To lend is prestar, prestar algo. It says, I wouldn't lend him money. I wouldn't. So would is a modal verb of condition. So in this case, when I say I wouldn't lend him money, there is an assumption that there is a condition. I wouldn't do this. I mean, when you use the verb would, it means 100%. If you say I will eat that, it means 100% I will eat that. But there is a condition, okay? You can say something like, for example, I don't know. You can say, I would help you. Help. I will help you. When you are using would, you are saying 100%. This is a decision that I have made. I will help you. But because this is a conditional, it means I will help you, but I will help you if. I will help you when. So you're not saying what the condition is, but necessarily there is a condition. Me helping you, it depends on something. I will help you, but I don't have time. Okay, so I will help you 100%. I have decided it. I will do it. But there is one problem. I don't have time. I will help you if you pay me. So I will help you, but only if this happens. Okay, I will help you, but this is the condition. If you pay me money, I will help you. If you don't pay me money, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I will help you when I finish working. Sorry, I think I misspelled it here. Finish working. I will help you when I finish working. So I will help you 100%. I promise I will help you, but not now. Maybe later. In this moment I can. In this moment I'm working. So I will help you, but there is a condition. When you are using a modal verb like would, this is a condition. You are saying that this action depends on this condition. Maybe you're not saying the condition, but when you say I will help you, there is always a but. I would do it. Yo lo haría. Cuando digo yo lo haría, está implícito ahí un pero. I will do it, but. Si no lo estuviera condicionando, si yo estuviera ofreciéndote mi ayuda, pues nada más digo, I will do it. Ya es una promesa. I will do it, yo lo hago. Ya, no hay ninguna condición. O I can do it, yo puedo hacerlo. Ya, ok, yo puedo, me estoy ofreciendo. Pero si digo I would, como que lo que estoy queriendo decir es que acá adelante hay alguna otra cosa, ¿sí? Hay una condición. I will do it, but. I will do it if. I will do it when. O sea, falta un pedazo. No, a veces tenemos la segunda parte, que es la condición, y pues a veces no. A veces nada más tenemos I wouldn't lend him money. ¿Qué significa I wouldn't lend him money? Yo no le prestaría dinero. Yo aquí estoy diciendo 0%, 100% sería I would. Cuando dices I wouldn't es algo que yo no haría. Yo decidí que yo no le prestaría dinero. Pero it is not my decision. A lo mejor yo no le prestaría dinero, pero bueno, el problema a mí no me está pidiendo dinero, te lo está pidiendo a ti. Entonces, si yo fuera tú, no le prestaría dinero. Aquí estoy diciendo I wouldn't lend him money. Y bueno, esta parte queda en suspenso, ¿sí? Podemos decirla, podemos expresar, pero ¿cuál es la condición? O podemos no decirla, pero ya con el would se entiende que esto está condicionado. Yo no le prestaría dinero. Ahí se entiende que, bueno, no soy yo quien lo decide. Yo no lo haría, pero bueno, yo no decido, ¿ok? Would means 100% or 0% if you make it negative. I will do something, it means I promise I will do it. I wouldn't do something, it means there's no way I will do that. Could is speaking about possibility again. So when you say subject I, modal verb could, verb in the base form visit, and complement my parents, I could visit my parents. I could do it. But I could visit my parents, but I have to work. Yo podría visitar a mis padres, pero yo podría visitar a mis padres si es que. Yo podría visitar a mis padres cuando hay una condición. Puede estar implícita o puede estar explícita, pero cuando yo uso esto puedo estar diciendo yo lo haría, yo podría visitarlos o yo los visitaría, pero hay una parte oculta, que hay una segunda parte del trato de la que no estamos hablando. Hay una condición, ¿ok? You can also use may or might when you are, again, like not completely sure. When you say, I wouldn't lend him money, it means it is a decision that I have made. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't lend him money. When you use may or might, you are saying there is a chance, but you are not promising anything. I may call you. When you say, I may call you, I may call you if I go out from work early. So if this condition happens, when this happens, if I go out from work early, probably I will call you. I am not promising. If I promise, I say, I will call you if I go out from work early. So maybe I will call you in the case this condition happens. This condition is possible, but maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it happens, or maybe it doesn't happen. I may call you if this happens. If this doesn't happen, don't expect my call, okay? I might call you. May and might, again, they are pretty much interchangeable. When you're using may or might, you are referring to not certainty. It's like, I may go home early. So there is a chance I go home early, but there is a condition. I might go home early, but only if we finish everything on time. If we finish everything on time, this is a possibility. Again, a 50%. Even if we finish everything on time, is not 100% sure that I go home early. If we finish everything on time, if this was a promise, it will say I would go home early if we finish everything on time. Okay, so when this happens, if this condition happens, this is going to happen. If you're using may or might, there is a chance, ¿ok? Entonces, bueno, muy rápidamente, los modales de condición están hablando de una acción, por ejemplo, prestar o visitar o llamar o irse, que esta acción depende de una condición, ¿sí? Yo no le prestaría dinero, pero bueno, no es mi decisión, ¿sí? Yo visitaría a mis padres, pero pasa tal cosa, si es que pasara tal cosa. Para que yo visite a mis padres, para que esta acción suceda, esta condición se tiene que cumplir. Yo tal vez te llame si salgo temprano de trabajar. O sea, si sí salgo temprano, tal vez, aquí no estoy prometiendo nada, tal vez te llame. Si no salgo temprano, olvídalo. O sea, el hecho de que yo te pueda llamar depende de que salga temprano. I might go home early. Yo tal vez me vaya a casa temprano si terminamos todo a tiempo. Entonces, primero necesitamos terminar todo a tiempo. Y una vez que terminemos todo, pues hay una posibilidad, I might go home early. Si es una seguridad, si terminamos todo a tiempo, seguro me voy a mi casa, entonces ya no uso might ni may, uso would. Más o menos, I hope this makes a little sense. These are modal verbs for condition. We can use would, could, may, or might. We can use the negative forms also. Now, there is a problem with modal verbs for condition. The problem is that maybe we are speaking about a condition that is not in the present. Maybe we are speaking about a condition that happened in the past. Maybe, for example, yesterday you needed help because you were moving to a new house. You were moving to your new apartment, and yesterday you needed help. And yesterday I didn't help you because I was working. And when I see you the next time, I can tell you, I would have helped you. Yo te habría ayudado. Ya no estoy hablando de hoy, yo te ayudaría, pero yo te ayudaría significa en este momento. Si dices, yo te habría ayudado, lo que estás diciendo es, pues bueno, ya pasó, ya no necesitas la ayuda, ya te mudaste de casa, ya estás viviendo en un lugar nuevo, ya tienes todo en su lugar, ya no me necesitas, pero si me hubieras dicho antes, yo te habría ayudado. El problema es que no me dijiste y no te ayudé. Entonces, este modal perfecto lo que está haciendo es hablar de una condición, pero de una condición en el pasado. Si esto hubiera sido así o hubiese sido así, yo habría hecho, no yo haría, ¿sí? En presente, como estaban antes, es yo haría esto o yo no haría esto hoy. Los modales perfectos quieren decir más bien yo no habría hecho esto o yo sí habría hecho esto ayer, antier, hace 10 años, ¿ok? Do you remember how to use modal perfect? Well, the modal perfect is very simple. You have your subject, you have your modal, it can take the negative, and you have. Your auxiliary or modal is the modal plus have. Remember, it's two parts. And the verb is not in the base form. Have is in the base form, is always have, never has, never have. But the verb is now in the past participle. And any extra information is a complement and, well, is optional. So we can say something like, in this case, we have we have I, this is the subject, this is the person doing something. We have the same example, right? So in this case, we have I wouldn't have. Remember, we have two parts, wouldn't and have. Have is always in the base form. Only the first part takes the negative. Only would takes the negative. I wouldn't have, and then the verb is in the past participle. Lent in the past participle is lent. And then the extra information is him money. I wouldn't have lent him money, but it wasn't my decision. In this case, I am speaking about something in the past. Yesterday or 1 year ago, you lent money to a person that is not very reliable. And now you're telling me, I lent him money and he hasn't paid it back. And I could tell you, I wouldn't have lent him money. Yo no le habría prestado dinero, pero no fue mi decisión. Yo no le habría prestado dinero ayer, antier, hace un año, cuando tú le prestaste dinero. Tú le prestaste dinero, yo no lo habría hecho. Pero esto es en el pasado. Yo no lo habría hecho, no, yo no lo haría. ¿Ok? Yo no lo haría, está en presente. Yo no lo haría, no lo hagas. Probablemente es hasta un consejo. Yo no lo habría hecho, pues ya nomás es para regañar a la persona, porque ya lo hizo. Ya no hay realmente como mucho que cambiarle. ¿Sí? Aquí tenemos, por ejemplo, sujeto. I could have, this is in the past, visited, this is the verb in the past participle, my parents. But I had to work. This is in the past. Last week, I didn't visit my parents. Last week, I didn't visit my parents because I had a lot of work. If I hadn't had this work, I could have visited my parents. I could have done it, but this happened in the past. Yo podría o yo podría haber visitado a mis padres. Yo podría haberlo hecho, pero tuve trabajo. No estoy hablando de que yo podría visitarlos y en este momento me salgo de mi casa y voy con ellos. Estoy diciendo yo lo podría haber hecho la semana pasada, pero la semana pasada tuve mucho trabajo. La semana pasada no pude. Este es un modal perfecto porque está hablando de una condición que ya se acabó. Es algo que ya fue, ya pasó. ¿Sí? May, otra vez, bueno, would es 100%. I wouldn't have lent him money. Yo no le hubiera prestado dinero. Es un hecho, es una cosa que ya decidí. Yo no lo habría hecho. Could, estás hablando de posibilidad. Yo habría podido visitar a mis padres, pero bueno, no tuve esa posibilidad. Tuve mucho trabajo, no fue posible. May y might otra vez significan, bueno, incertidumbre, tal vez. ¿Ok? Entonces, I, subject, might have, again, is always have, called in the past participle, you. I may have called you. Yo tal vez te habría llamado, ¿sí? Si hubiera salido de trabajar temprano. El problema es que no salí de trabajar temprano. Y como no salí de trabajar, pues no te hablé. Si sí lo hubiera hecho, si sí hubiera salido temprano, la semana pasada o hace un mes, oye, ¿por qué no te vi el mes pasado? Ay, es que tal vez te habría llamado si hubiera salido temprano. Pero ese día salí muy tarde. Entonces, pues X, no te hablé. De todas maneras, no era una promesa, yo podría haberlo hecho, pero bueno, como ni siquiera, como no salí temprano, pues esto ya fue, no pasó, ¿sí? I may, subject, modal verb plus have, might have, verb in the past participle, gone, and then your complement, home early. I might have gone home early. Might is probably. I might have gone home early. Yo tal vez habría ido a casa temprano, ¿sí? Pero, if we had finished, si hubiéramos terminado a tiempo. Si hubiéramos terminado a tiempo, tal vez me habría ido a casa temprano. No hoy, antier, hace una semana. Ay, el viernes pasado no pude estar en el cumpleaños de mi mamá. Me habría podido ir a casa temprano si hubiéramos terminado a tiempo. pero no terminamos a tiempo y ni siquiera fue posible irme a mi casa temprano, ¿sí? Esos son los modales perfectos. Acuérdense que los modales perfectos son el modal más have, siempre es have, y el verbo va en pasado participio. El verbo va en pasado participio. Y acuérdense que estos solo sirven con los modales de deducción, los de condición y los de preferencia. Ya vimos los de deducción, ya vimos ahorita un poquito los de condición, y bueno, ya para terminar, tenemos también los continuous modals. ¿Se acuerdan que también con los modales de deducción we had continuous modals? A continuous modal, what it's doing is making emphasis on the present continuous, on something that is happening in this exact and precise moment. We know that modal verbs for deduction and condition are usually in the present, but they can be changed to the past with perfect modals, or you can emphasize the fact that this is in progress right now. If you want to emphasize that this is in progress right now, you need to use a continuous modal. What is a continuous modal? Well, you need your subject, the doer of the action. Again, you need your modal verb, but your modal verb is going to have two parts. It's going to be the modal, and it's not going to be have. It's going to be be. Remember that after modal verbs, they are always in the base form. So it's always be. And now the verb is not in participle. Perfect forms use the participle. Continuous forms, they use the gerund. And then we have an optional complement. So what am I saying right here? I am right here, what I am saying is that I, subject, could be, this is my modal plus be, swimming, this is the verb with ing, and this is the complement, right now. ¿Ok? Yo podría estar nadando en este momento. Justo en este momento son las 10 de la mañana, yo podría estar nadando. Este día, a esta hora, yo me imaginaba nadando. Pero este es un modal condicional. Quiere decir que aquí oculta o no oculta, hay una condición. Yo podría estar nadando si estuviéramos en la playa. El problema es que no estamos en la playa, se canceló el plan, no alcanzamos a salir. Yo podría estar nadando y en lugar de eso apenas voy en camino, apenas estoy manejando, ¿sí? Aquí este se usa para enfatizar, emphasizes that the action would be happening at this time, right now. I could be swimming right now. If you use could, it means yo podría estar nadando. Si quieres decir I will be swimming, yo estaría nadando. Seguro, 100%. Yo estaría nadando en este momento. Pero estoy en la carretera. Pero eso solo es si estuviéramos en la playa. Si dices may or might, entonces estás diciendo probablemente, no estás diciendo que 100% seguro, no estás hablando de posibilidad, estás diciendo yo tal vez estaría nadando si estuviéramos en la playa. Igual si estuvieras en la playa tal vez estaría haciendo otra cosa porque aquí yo no prometí nada. Este nada más es un modal que no tiene certeza. ¿Ok? Bueno. Son muy parecidos los modales de deducción y los modales de condición. Los de deducción nos sirven para establecer qué tan seguros estamos de nuestras hipótesis cuando no tenemos información y tenemos teorías. Y los de condición siempre implican que esta acción que está en esta oración depende de algo más. En este caso dependen de una condición. ¿Sí? Condición significa dependencia, ¿ok? Entonces, un modal de condición es un modal que nos está expresando que nuestra acción depende de algo, ¿sí? Yo haría tal cosa. Ya no dije más, pero cuando digo yo haría tal cosa, ahí estoy dejando en el aire que hay una condición. Yo haría tal cosa, pero. Yo haría tal cosa si es que. Yo haría tal cosa cuando. Pero la verdad es que no la estoy haciendo, ¿sí? Estoy diciendo que la haría, pero se necesitaría cumplir una condición para que la hiciera, ¿ok? Bueno, Esto es, vamos a ver de todas maneras las condicionales más a profundidad un poquito más adelante en el curso. Esto es nada más para dejar claro cómo funcionan los modales, qué usos tienen y cómo se pueden cambiar. Los modales de condición y los modales de deducción no tienen semimodales, ¿ok? Pero los modales de deducción y los de condición sí se pueden cambiar a pasado con un modal perfecto. Yo tal vez habría hecho esto o yo habría hecho esto hace un mes, hace un día, una semana, o a modal continuo. Yo estaría haciendo esto, ¿sí? Eso sería nada más para enfatizar que, bueno, la acción estaría en progreso en este momento. That will be basically it for now. In the next episode, in the next video, we're going to be speaking about modal verbs for preference. It's going to be very quick. There is only one verb that we have to check, and that will be it for modal verbs, okay? If you have any questions regarding modal verbs, again, please send them to me. You can text me, you can message me, you can just leave comments on the video, and you can just also just write down your doubts or your examples or your the sentences that you are having problems with. Sorry, and then you can show them to me when we have the Zoom class, and I will be trying to clear all your doubts. Okay, so thank you very much. That will be it for now. If you want to rest, go ahead. I think you deserve it. If you want to move on to a different class, that's perfect. If you want to continue checking the modal verbs, just skip ahead to the next video, and I will see you there. Okay, thank you very much, and have a good, well, in my case, have a good night. Okay, see you.